computer. There we go. All right. Hopefully it's recording. Let's see. Okay, good. Okay, so let's look at one version of power. Power equals accessible energy to channel into action. There's so many ways that that word is used. So when I start, like I've been trying to really grok the feeling and the definition, but not just the definition in our heads, but like how I would define it enough to feel it, to channel it. Its essence. It's So I want you just to close your eyes for a minute. I want you to think about your relationship with that word and with the sensation of it and with the idea of it, what you know about it. I'm just going to give you a minute or so to think about it. Power. And then I want you to think about power in relationship to you, like your power. Like if I were to say, well, do you think you're in your power? Like, what would that mean to you? Do you think you're in your power? And then if you were to say to yourself, what is my power? What is my special power? Like, what do you bring to the circle? Like, I am love, light, truth, freedom. I am like what's we've been bringing these frequencies to our full moon and new moon meditations. Like, well, what shows up for you as what you bring? Like you stand there as your tall self, and you bring what to the circle? And then finally, how you see power out there in the world and how you regard it. Like we look out in the world and we see people with power. And what kinds of people do you note are powerful or are in their power or who have power? And how does that differentiate? How does that feel different? Okay, so we're gonna those are answers for you, and so we're gonna move on and get some more information here. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Okay. Hang on one second. makes it shorter. Okay. So here are some definitions of power. Power is the ability to direct the course of events. You know, the power to make a move, the power to, you know, be directive in, you know, an event happening or not happening. Okay. Using your power in your life to make things happen. So power is also energy that is capable of affecting reality. So you have this energy, and you either have the energy to go and move and clean up your room, or you sit there and use your power to make something happen on the inner planes. So it's energy, right? So if you don't have energy, you can't be empowered, right? So this is why I emphasize doing practices to gather energy. Then we have this other thing like, you know, oh, so-and-so has a lot of power because they have a lot of money or they have a lot of influence. So people with power, they have the power to buy whatever they want, or they have the power to boss people around, like a boss. Power to say no, yes. You can't have that, you can have that. And that is sometimes defined as power over. Very, I consider that very patriarchal, which is not necessarily a bad thing to have power over, because like Newsom, the governor, has 40 million people that he has power over. And he's every day has got to make choices that are going to benefit as many people as possible. So he's got power. How he uses it, I believe it feels like at this point that he's doing it for the good of all, more than other governors that we've had in the past. Okay. So another kind of power definition is energy generated internally, able to direct unfolding reality. So that would be meditating, and you would use your personal energy to visualize something happening or to clear something so that something could happen, but to internally, without taking a physical action, you know, doing something, generating a direction for personal energy or channeled energy to come through towards an end, whether it be the manifestation of something or healing or magic, something like that. And then, you know, another way that we can define power is personal charisma. So you're like, you know, somebody walks in the room and you're like, whoa, that person had a lot of power. That person has a lot of power. Wow, you can really feel it. Yeah, they can hold a room, right? Okay, so power expressed. Power was seen in the beginning as the ability to create from nothing, as a female species the female gender, I should say, able to give birth. So in the beginning, you know, this is tribe, and they're developing, and then all of a sudden, you know, this thing's growing, and out comes this child, and like, wow, the power to create, wow. So that undeniably led to women being in power. It was a very matriarchal society for millennia, matriarchal. And yes, there were, males interacting with each other over territories and things like that. Um, and I would say chattel, but it was largely matriarchal. So power was experienced as a force emanating from the supernatural. So that you could feel the power of God making this big storm, powerful storm. Boom, the storm, arising and moving huge things great distances. So a power that comes from perhaps a supernatural force, and this could influence weather, celestial occurrences, and life. And then power was also allocated to one or two beings in a tribe, right? The chief and or the shaman or spiritual leader. So they had the ability to say, this is how we're going to do things, and everybody go, well, so far so good, you've led us down the right path, or you're kind of a brutal person, so we're going to do what you say, or you come from a whole family, so you guys have innate power, genetic power, whatever. So again, we've allocated our reality to presences who we ascertain have power, hoping that they will have the ability to keep us safe and in survival. And then, we've all been in ceremony with different spiritual teachers or shamans and things like that. So rituals can be performed to access additional power through ceremony and prayer. And by rituals, and also just, what we did the other night where we meditated and we worked energetically together. Calling in power. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Okay. The evolution of the meaning of power. So in ancient times, power was seen as an innate, born into or acquired as through actions of focused intent, bravery, or commandeering. So, some people, got to be, like I said, got to be the chief or chiefess or the leader of the tribe, because there were women leaders. Powers included seeing, healing, dreaming, shape-shifting, knowing, channeling, transcending, and more. These were kind of more supernatural power. Again, power expressed in the density world and power expressed from the quantum world. Power was nurtured, utilized mostly for the good of all in these situations, and passed on from teacher to student. So, a teacher goes through their own process of awakening, and they come into their power, and they have powers to activate their students, and they utilize those powers to convey power in increments to their students. Spiritual power, unfortunately, however, was misused still to this day to accrue possessions and influence, and at times utilized to hurt or manipulate others. And we can kind of point to the Catholic Church, also various Christian churches. We know we can talk about Scientology. We can talk about many of the yogis and how they use their power. Like, Rajneesh had, how many, not Mercedes-Benz, Rolls Royces, all the evangelicals, the the television evangelicals, whatever they're called, they just accrued massive amounts of money from whatever their message was. Money's not a bad thing. It just, spiritual power misused. Okay. So then, so here humans are finding out about power through their spiritual teachers, through their shamans, and they're needing a healing in the tribe, and so the shaman, provides that through the experience of a ritual ceremony. A lot of the Native Americans had amazing ceremonies that they would enact, um, annually or in times of need. Again, to ensure the survival of the tribe, or to heal somebody. So everything was about survival in the beginning. It was also observed that those with power were more likely to survive. So there's this thing, like, if I have power over you and you and you, because you're powerful, but I have more power than you, and I have more money than you, and I have a bigger yacht than you. I'm going to survive even if you don't. And I can't let you get ahead of me, because you're going to take me down if I let you get ahead of me. So the desecration of true power has come to increasingly be seen in our world, of like, it used to be the 1%. Now I think it might be the 0.1% has half the wealth in the world. It's just insane to me. So unfortunately, there's these human, well, the 8 deadly sins instead of the 7, but one of them is definitely greed. And so what happens for many people is they start accruing things, and it incites greed in them, and enough is never enough. It has to be more than enough, but then that's not enough. So we see this exhibited all over the world. It's very heartbreaking, that people will do things illegally to get several more billions. For what? To buy 5 more fancy cars, the best car there is, the 5 best cars are, it's not a good reflection of who we are, to all those beings who are looking down at us. So it's led to the obfuscation of billions of resources, not just money, but resources that have been sequestered into individual fortunes for the purpose of expressing power over others. In other words, if you see that I have all of this, you're not going to mess with me. You're not going to mess with me. And you know what? You might even elect me to be on a board, or a president, or, this international league of 300, or whatever it is, with all the power brokers. So then what this did is it led to this kind of reconfiguring from egalitarian to hierarchical. So you have this configuration of reality where men, a lot of men, but there's women in there, but a lot of men have power over women, children, resources, and animals, depending on their assets, not their gifts. So in other words, someone doesn't get elected or offered an office because of their true talent. It's because of their power that is coming from influence and or money. And we're seeing, unfortunately, sadly, we're seeing a lot of this in Washington right now, where people are getting put in offices because they donated a lot of money. They're billionaires, and they don't know what the heck they're doing. And that's just a small thing. It's happening all over. It's happening in almost every government. It's just, it's in the Arab world, in South America, Russia, China. There's very few places that it's authentic, sadly. So in addition, so this is the desecration of true power. In addition, tactics were initiated to guarantee that others do not rise in power, such as starting wars, money laundering, stealing wealth, political takedowns, all strive to create confusion and fear, because if you can keep everybody in confusion and fear and lack, they will never rise to power to take over what you have. Okay, so that created the hierarchy, but there's something better that could happen with a hierarchical structure. However, even the most spiritual manifestations of it are disappointing to me. If you look at all the hierarchies on the planet right now, all the spiritual and religious hierarchies, they're all men. Dalai Lama's not been a woman. Priests have power to, bless the Eucharist and make Jesus Christ body and blood. Women don't have that. The Dalai Lama, had a meeting with a few women were allowed. The women are in the back of the room, of course, and the men are all in the front of the room. Nuns have no ability to rise up and become greater and greater teachers unless they just do it because they write a book, like Pema Chodron. She's a Buddhist nun, but she's just telling truth. So she's having a place in our society on her own merits, not because of the system. So the other thing, look at it. Even the spiritual hierarchy that I was introduced to, the Brotherhood, the Great White Brotherhood, Christ, Buddha, Dwalkul, Kutumi, the Master Moira, Hilarion, all of them really they're all male depictions. Yeah. So, when we come down to it, the true purpose of any spiritual hierarchy is to evolve through your own very hard work, and hopefully through someone reaching down and pulling you up. And then when you're here, you look down and you pull somebody up. And then you get pulled up, and then you pull more people up. And then you get pulled up, and now you can pull up a lot of people. And that's how it should be working. And it works to some degree, but it in the end, it's the males who only have the ability, which is really interesting because Carlos Castaneda used to say only women have that true innate power that men want. They have it in them. And so why we're not running the show is beyond me. I think we should be running the show. Okay, so now let's talk about power. Power is an agreement with reality, energy, and intent. Think about it. Power is an agreement. You gotta think about this. So it's something that comes through. It has a feeling. It has an energy, and it is, as it comes through, it's an agreement with the force that is creating this universe. So when we have power, we can participate in reconfiguring reality, right? So when we met the other night and we formed this octagon, and then we moved into our power, and we went into, a place of non-duality. So observation, non-duality, and then this energy started coming through because we were in numbers. We were in numbers. We were in configuration as more than one. Two or more gathered in my name. I wouldn't say it amazing, this very poignant, powerful, insightful, effective teachings and frequency came through. An extra power was added into what we were adding in. We've talked over and over again about the power of H. We know we're experiencing that more and more. I'm sorry Terry's not here to hear this, because she would have been our eighth being, because Sibby's over there. Although we got Carmela's listening to everything I'm saying. She's on the couch. And think about it. Anything to the nth power is a magnification of that expression. So 8 is a magical configuration linking us expressly to intent. So you know that with Ka10, the insignia looks like an 8, and it actually links us to intent. It links us to intent. So we know that this is a magical number, and somehow it magnifies our ability to be in our power. It gives us strength to have the courage to be in our power. Each one of you embody a power of the I am, and it could be as simple as I am. I am, I am. I am love. I am as the one. I am as the one. As you embody yourself as a power, you become a conduit for power. And if you're looking at the screen, you're going to see I spelled it in 2 different ways. So there's the power that you are, the power that you manifest as. There are the powers that you have. I have the power to heal. I have the power to empower others. But when you are in your power, you become a conduit for power, capital P, capital O, W-E-R. And when you feel capital P-O-W-E-R really come through, it's big. And that's what we want to start creating pathways for allowing power to come through us. Power that could shake us up, power that we might have to learn how to hold, power that we are, power that we're linked to, but the power of power, the light of light, the light of light, the power of power. So another way of looking at power is if you're in your true power, you're in your personal sovereignty. I want you to think about that. I want you to have this feeling right now of, I want you to tap in right now. And I want you to say power to yourself. And I want you to say, I'm in my power. And where do you feel that in your body? I am in my power right now. Where do you feel it in your body? Okay, with that, I want you to say, I'm willing to own my true power. You see, this society has been configured to deny women of their true power. It's historical. It's blatantly manifest all over the world. And so we're at this place now where we have to go, sorry, I'm stepping in. And yeah, there's somewhere in the back of my mind that says, yeah, I could get my head chopped off, or I could be burned at the stake. But it's feeling to me like, yeah, maybe not now. Because enough of us are doing it. So this is the call to action, to step into our true power. And I want you to have just check in, like, where would it be in your field? How would you internalize your power? Because it emanates from within. True power emanates from within you. Your personal power is already inside of you. So I want you to feel into that right now and own it in whatever way you can. Okay. So let's say you come into your power. It's really easy. People have come into their power and they friggin' misused it. Crazy amount of beings have done this. So what has occurred to me is the use of real power must be earned, and it must be one word that comes to mind is sanctified. I'm not sure how to say this, but one must learn to not misuse it. It must be, I don't want to say tempered, but understood that as a sovereign being in their true power, as a spiritual being on the path, and my guess is one who is here to serve the planet, one must not misuse their power. So then I started thinking, okay, so you got to find a way to embody your personal power. Embody it. Experience it, feel it, own it. Be a presence with it. Okay? So then we remember we're an expression of the one as a power. We're an expression of the one. And that one, that power could be power, or it could be love, or it could be light. It could be grace. But it's we're on a path of discovery here. When we embody our expression, we move into our power. As we move into our power, we develop a relationship with power, capital P-O-W-E-R. We can learn the lessons of power through a teacher, or we can learn, or I should say, we can learn it the hard way through life's and reality's lessons. And so I suspect for you guys, you're going to learn a little bit from me. You're going to learn a chunk from what you're going through. But you have to be your spiritual warrioresses. You're like, all right, I'm going to take it on. I'm going to do it. I am really going to solidify this, my power, my expression of my real power, so that I can have a relationship with power, so that I can wield that power for the good of all in the right and correct circumstances. The guiding light of accessing and channeling power is the purity of our intent, right? So if my intent is to have more than you, that's not pure. No. If my intent is to evolve in the way that my soul has designed, so that I may be of service to this reality, to this planet, that's a nice alignment with intent. So we know that power can be misused for the harm of all. Eventually, those who do fall from grace and into the dark worlds. We must therefore intend power properly and its use properly. In other words, humility, I think, is can figure somewhere in there. But we're being asked to prepare pathways for power so that when we are in our circle, we're in our octagon, and we're joined together, and we go, okay, listen, lots of change has to happen here. We can't figure it out. Come on, bring it on. We're going to hold space for you. And that power comes through and moves out. And we observe it, and we get some enlightenment from it. We get some jangling. We get some of that grayness shook out. And we then observe reality kind of fall more into place as we move through our day. So, use of power for personal gain. So, yes, you may use your power to help your journey on the planet. You never have to give everything away. No. You fill the glass up, and then you keep filling it with the practices, and it flows out. It's full. It's an invitation for more energy and more power to come through, and that is what gets to go out. You get to thrive. It's okay to thrive. Yes, you can use power and for visualization, etc., to create abundance, love, and personal growth. But never at the expense of other people, of course. And there's plenty to go around, trust me. When you misuse power for your own gain, there's an icky feeling that goes with it. You're like, ooh, I don't know about what there's an actual thing that happens in here. Unless you're a sociopath. And there are plenty of sociopaths who are not following these rules right now. And they can't feel it. They absolutely can't feel it. But you will feel it. Conversely, you don't want to give your power away. Many women have been made to feel that they're unworthy of their power. My gosh, all the time women come in and they're sharing their story with me, and they were trained, they were configured to give away their power. Not even just to men, but to life. Afraid to ask for not just what they want, but what is so. And so this is in the process of being corrected right now. And I'm seeing it because I'm seeing, oh my gosh, today I saw I saw two black men who are in sports, and they were crying. They're being interviewed, and they were crying. They go, we love America. We love America, and we just don't get it. Why this just keeps happening. I mean, this one man was just crying. He was so in his feminine. He looks so sad, but so authentic. And that really affected me today. Just his vulnerability. And more women are coming forth and saying, no, no, and no. Especially women of color. I am just so amazed at how they're standing in their own personal power and how they feel the power. I actually feel that might be a little bit of a genetic ancestral gift that they have naturally. It comes from their roots. And of course, it's been suppressed and beaten out of them, as we white people have done for personal gain. I'm not saying you, I'm just saying, our ancestors. So, more women are coming into power in government And there's some of them, many of them, who have amazing gifts to bring, an amazing message to bring about this very thing we're talking about. So you don't want to give your power away, and you want to know that you're worthy of having your power. You are worthy, and you gotta friggin' own it. You gotta own it. You have to go, yeah, I'm not sure about the whole thing yet, but I'm here to do good, and I'm going to do it. Like that kind of determination. So you can use power, the power to manifest, the power to create, to fill up your tank. And then you allow power to be then used for the purpose of waking up and then assisting others in waking up. See how that is? And some people, there's been these amazing teachers out there, and they didn't just need it. They just hadn't, I don't need any of that stuff. I don't care about that stuff. All I want to do is be of service. Mother Teresa, Mother Teresa. Yeah, I had a feeling. I didn't know a lot about her, just, what I'd heard in the news, but Amma, she doesn't really need anything. Just give her a white sari, and she'll get in the mud and clean up whatever needs to be cleaned up. She'll build a university with the money that people give her. She'll build clinics, so there's these amazing beings, but it's okay to have your needs taken care of. Okay. And I'm right now just health needs, compensation for what you bring to the planet. And so right now I'm just taking a moment out here to access my power to see and hold space for all of you tonight. To have your presence recognized with the gift of thrival. And I'm just in this moment, it's coming through, so check it out. See if you can receive it. Okay. All right. Thank you for your reception. Okay. Now we're going to talk about types of power. I just wake up every morning thinking power, power, power. So here's some things that I thought, how it manifests. So, okay. First thing I thought it was hard power, right? So it's these guys, that it's like, okay, their bodies are their bodies, but then they go and they're doing all these moves, and it's not just that they have this muscle that it's strong enough to hit that person. They're bringing through a power, that they've cultivated through their exercises, and that power comes through, boom, and it does what it does. So that's what I would call hard power. Then I think about soft power. So soft power, negotiating like life's difficult moments. It's like someone who can just be super present. They're in their power, they're super present. And they know exactly what to say. They know exactly how to hold space, right? And I think this is something that is very, like, all of us as healers, we really need to, understand this experience or expression of soft power. How to just hold space in a moment, pause, and offer the power of the moment to someone. Then there's part of that is neutral power, and for me, more and more, I'm just in this practice of, in situations that feel uncomfortable, of kind of shifting to that neutral power in order to come into a state of observation. And from there, kind of going, oh, that's interesting. That appears rather dualistic. How interesting. And just hold that and hold that and hold that and hold that and be in my power and hold it until the physics of it resolve. And then I'm back in the now. And sometimes I can do it for myself, and sometimes I need to do that for others. Just hold space for others. Okay, so earth power. All right, earth power comes through and it activates change. And you could say it activates change in the form of growth, right? So earth power comes through every day. Like, I'm just looking around at all the things that we have growing on the property. Just one little parcel of land, and this, this energy, this power is coming up. Yes, it's water and it's sunlight, but there's this life power that's coming through, and it's allowing things to grow, and we can access that power. So like, if you go out, if you're feeling low and you go out and you're really open to nature, and you're open to Gaia, and you're open to the earth, and you're open to that electromagnetic field that is generative, you can get power. You can get power right through your feet, through your hands, through your root chakra. You can get power from the earth. Okay, and then there's intent power, and what I would call that, I would call that's an alignment. So intent itself is the power of accelerating evolution. Yeah, the manifestation of accelerating evolution. So we can align with that power and co-create. Intent power. And that's kind of that's an interesting place. You feel where, you try to feel into where you access this from. It's a little bit of alignment. It's kind of central. It's kind of alignment here. I have an intent. I'm aligning with intent, and I'm holding space, clear thought, allowing intent to come through and its power and create that. And aligning with intent as a co-creator with intent. And that's how you make things. That's how you make jobs. That's how you manifest help. That's how you, to some degree, make things. Okay, and then there's the Kundalini power, and that is power that's innately ours, and it's kind of anchored into the, it's a mysterious power. I've experienced it, but it's still very much a mystery for me, and it comes when it comes, but it's logged into the sacrum, and we can access that in a variety of ways. And then there's spiritual power, and so, let's say you're with a teacher and they're fully awake, and they are fully in their spiritual power. They can wake you up with it just by being their power. Being their power can activate acceleration of evolution in you and towards your own waking up. Then we have a collective power. So that's larger manifestation of, say, what we do when we in our full moon groups. So there's that. There's something magical that happens. So we come together and we go, and we get a guidance of where to direct. And so we don't just make it up ourselves like, oh, well, maybe I'd like, all of us to have a new handbag. No, we come together. That's funny. We come together collectively because we're in this phase in our life where we feel like if we don't do that, we may not have our life in 20 years or 25 years. It feels that critical to me. I don't feel like tra-la-la, do nothing, so what, it'll all work out. I do not feel that. So we're learning to be in our power so that collectively then we can come together and be used by the last one, which is the extraplanetary power. And I could say that that's avatar frequencies, that's ET frequencies, that's, just spiritual power coming through as guidance. Okay, guess what? Thank you for gathering. This is what y'all can do, given who's gathered here. So I wanted you to kind of see this list so that you could, in your own life, start thinking about this. And I will send this information out to you in the next couple days. I will create a homework sheet for you so you can really think about this, because we're in the process of thinking and feeling into power now. Power. Okay? So we're gonna do a little, we're gonna just play around a little bit here. To see if we can engage with power in our own bodies. So this is just one simple thing we can do. Okay. So I want you all to think about your perineum and your anal sphincter. Think about those and just contract them. So you're pulling up and you're releasing. Pulling up and releasing. Mula Bandha. Pulling up, releasing. Pulling up and releasing. So just do that. I'm going to give you all just a few moments just to practice that. So you're going to pull up and release. Pull up and release. Okay. So you're going to hold that contraction for 2, 3, 4 seconds. And as you inhale, so you're going to inhale, and you can do one contraction or you can hold it. You can do one contraction, you can do several as you count, depending on how that feels. And then as you exhale, you take that energy that's accumulated there and you exhale it into your solar plexus. As you just observe it. So you're in a very neutral place. You're pulling that energy, you're pulling power in, you're creating an activation with power. An activation with power. To get it to come from the quantum state into density state. There will be a mixture of that, if you can do it right, as it starts to gather in your solar plexus. Okay, so we're going to just, I'm going to just encourage you to try this now. You can see the directions on your computer. Inhale power through the root chakra. pull it up, hold. Slowly exhale as you release the contraction and visualize pulling the energy into your solar plexus. Again, breathing in, contracting. Slowly releasing, just observing it in the solar plexus. Now I want you to just play with this, practice it for about 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So the contractions are kind of pumping it upwards to the solar plexus. And as you exhale, you're almost like owning it. You're owning the power. Yeah, that's my power. Okay? You say that, yeah, that's mine. Okay, continue. And at some point, see how long you can hold your breath as you continue to contract and pump that energy from your root chakra all the way up to the solar plexus. Okay, I held my breath there for, I don't know, 35 seconds, maybe a little longer, maybe a minute. So try it again. And see if you can start to clear a channel from your actual tailbone up through the spinal column of your sacrum. Just by gently doing those contractions. Clearing a pathway through the sacrum. Okay, so just rest a moment. And allow your attention to drift to your sacrum. Okay. Mm. Okay. So very nice. And gently bringing yourself back. We'll come to that other technique next time. We're just gonna share. I'm gonna share this last little bit, and then we're gonna just do a little final check. I guess you would call it a checkout. So we know that the solar plexus is associated with the power center. So as we accumulate power, we can hold it here, and it actually creates an emanation, and it gives us kind of, when someone's in their power and they're really feeling it, it gives them stature. In other words, not this, but really, hey, I feel myself. I'm right here. It's also very good for digestive fires. Sacral plexus, which we were just kind of working with, is associated with creative and sexual power. So women can hold great power here. The Kundalini power source is located in the sacrum behind the womb. So it's an interesting thing where there's so many teachings about this via Tantra and via a lot of the Buddhist practices and breathing practices and things like that. But the womb can actually be an additional power center. So, a woman is now allowed to be in her third chakra, power, but she can also be in her soft power place, which is the second. And there's a power generating configuration in the sacrum whereby the Kundalini can be activated. And so we're going to work with that more in 2 weeks. The root chakra can be a portal for planetary frequencies. So you can open your root chakra, and get energy and power coming up. And then if you remember when we went through our initiation in the Om, we had the gated divinity, which is located behind the root chakra, and that can open up to this gorgeous divine feminine mother energy that's just so beautiful, that actually, just as I've opened to that and it's nurtured me, has created way more feminine expression in me. I think I used to be a lot more masculine. And then, of course, there's the power of love. So there's the heart chakra. And so the energy can be taken from the power center up to the heart. And then that is a great informer of how to use power. Our heart should inform us on how to use our power, not our sexuality, nor our desire for power. No, it's our heart must inform how we use our power. And then finally, as that power comes up and hits the higher centers, there's awakening to higher spiritual powers. And so that's what we want. We want to wake up and wake up and wake up and wake up. That's what it's all about right now. Waking up. The other thing that I have a sense, I'm just going to say this. I've noticed this in myself and a few patients in regards to the sleeping dilemma. There's this amazing, huge spider right over me right now in this web. It's like this big. I'm very happy it's here, actually. That's, kind of a sign of, our link to the feminine power. That if you can open your root chakra and get it connected, grounded to the planetary energies coming through. And sometimes I do that by moving my feet. And that gets the divine feminine energies flowing up the legs and kind of filling up, because you see the root chakra is associated with the adrenals. And when the adrenals are shot, you don't sleep well. And when we're stressed, our adrenals get shot. And so there's this little connection between root chakra, adrenals, and sleeping. And so if you can kind of get those centers kind of gently opened up, softened, grounded, connected, you might sleep better. That's what I notice. Sleep better. So those are some little hints that that I want to share with you guys tonight about at least the sleeping part. Okay, so we'll do a little bit of sharing, and if you feel like it, you don't have to share if you don't want to, but I want you to practice. I'll send you the breathing exercise, but it's basically using the Mula Bandha to kind of pull energy up, contract, contract. There's one where you do with the pelvic floor, and there's one where you do with the anal sphincter, and they're kind of two different feelings. And so as we did that, it actually started putting energy into the sacrum, and then allowing the sacrum to open through its little, because there's a little central channel that goes through sacrum. The spinal cord goes through the sacrum, and even though it's not a movable, those segments are not movable, they're fused, there's little nerves that go out, and so that's a channel for the Kundalini. So I want you to attend to that, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. I would really appreciate it that you could put your attention on that, just even when you're laying in bed, either in the morning when you wake up in the middle of the night, or before you get out of bed in the morning. Oh, excuse me. Just try it. Just do a few contractions and feel into it. And then we'll have reports. Okay. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go there, and there. And I think I get to stop